Are rom-coms back? The romance girlies know they never left. Because as long as the genre is alive in our hearts, it's always close by.
You belong here.
This was fun.
Okay. Hello romance girlies, I'm Lady Genevieve, and on my channel I talk about entertainment media. Today's video is a review of a new rom-com, and most important of all, it's a rom-com releasing in the cinemas. We have an obligation, a duty, and a real opportunity to make this a smash hit. Send a message to these oblivious studio executives that the romance girlies want theatrical rom-coms and we want whimsy. And best of all, we can have the time of our lives whilst sending that message because this movie fully understood the assignment. If you've seen the trailer, you know what this movie is. And guess what? This is exactly the type of fun I've been wanting to see more of on the big screen. If you recommend me a rom-com that's releasing direct to streaming, no you didn't.
You look me in the eye, and you admit you thought I was cheap.
We have a new rom-com called You, Me, and Tuscany, and it's fantastic. It's got charismatic leads, and it's set in Italy. You, Me, and Tuscany tells the story of Anna, or as the Italians call her, Anna, an almost chef who has a chance encounter with an Italian man named Matteo, who tells her about his Tuscan villa, which he has more or less abandoned. One international flight later, she goes and stays there, unexpectedly meets the man's family, including his handsome cousin Michael. The first part of this review is going to be mostly spoiler-free, although the trailer did give away a lot of the major plot beats, but still, I will try not to give away much beyond that just yet, and then we will do a bit of a spoiler section so I can be more specific with my compliments, of which I have many. Though actually, I do have a bit of a nitpick about this film, and I will just share that first. If you have seen the film's trailer, you will have seen that Anna is first discovered in Matteo's villa by two Italian women. They are Matteo's mother and grandmother. When they first enter the villa, they are speaking to each other in Italian, and they don't give the characters subtitles. There is a point in what they're saying where the film begins to add subtitles, but personally, I don't like that you didn't subtitle their entire conversation from the time they first entered the villa. Why are you assuming that I don't want to know what they're saying? You just don't think it's important for the plot? Let me get a sense of their dynamic and how they speak to one another so that I may better understand who they are right from the very beginning of their introduction. Anyway, I know I sometimes get viewers from Italy, so that part will not be an issue for any of you when you go and watch this. And there is quite a bit of Italian dialogue to follow in this film, but to the rest of us, who only know as much Italian as is used in Father, Son, and House of Gucci, they are not being inclusive. I actually really despise when films or series do this. It's a bit like when you turn the captions for something on and it will just say, speaking Italian, or even worse if the subtitle simply reads, speaking foreign language. I beg your finest pardon, subtitle all of it. I will read along. But anyway, that's my one nitpick. The rest of this is going to be me praising the movie for being fun and whimsical and romantic. On a slightly more serious note, they do give the characters, and in particular the main couple, a bit more material for their backstories and characterization, so that they are able to have more depth and dimension than just pretty person number 1 and 2, who will be falling in love and standing front and center on all of the film's posters. There needs to be something emotionally earnest and vulnerable at the heart of a great rom-com, or else you will not be able to reach the heart of your audience. I don't mind a comedy that is first and foremost a comedy, but a romantic comedy should offer both comedy and romance. And You, Me, and Tuscany absolutely does this. Halle Bailey is so endearing and likable in this. She exudes warmth and charm so that even when Anna is being a little bit reckless, not too much though, just enough to facilitate the plot with all of its shenanigans, you still root for her through all of those things. Rege-Jean Page, welcome back to the world of romance. You have been missed. Please do not make us wait longer than 3 to 5 business years for you to return to playing a romantic role, because you are very good at it. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that these two lead characters, Anna and Michael, offered all that much in the way of surprises, specifically because the trailer showed us so much of what we were going to enjoy about seeing these two have romantic chemistry, develop capital F feelings for one another, get into some highly indulgent shenanigans and hijinks, as any good rom-com should. By far, the biggest and best surprise of this film, though, is how much fun Matteo's family, and in general, the Italian characters filling out the entire ensemble are. It feels like every single person in this movie is having the time of their lives, and unapologetically inviting the audience to do the same. It's a feel-good story, unafraid to be both silly and earnest when the moment calls for one or the other. The Tuscan scenery could not be more picturesque, and do not get me started on the food. They know that you cannot have a main girl who is passionate about food and cooking take a trip to Italy and not deliver on some quality food preparation and presentation. Matteo and Michael's family, among other things, run a restaurant, so that's a perfect excuse to give us some quality food preparation material in addition to things like family dinners. I didn't expect this film to be as much of an ensemble piece as it ended up being. I knew we would have plenty of material to follow the love story of our two lead characters, but the fact that they made sure to give these other characters the room to be funny and Italian, it just made the experience so much more fun and immersive. Seeing this at an early screening, the audience was very excited to be there. We were highly responsive to the jokes and facial expressions, and the overall indulgent enthusiasm for what they were doing on screen. Try to see this on opening weekend, try to see this either with a group or in a showing that is somewhat full, and stick around because there is something that will play during the credits. No spoilers, but just stay seated once the credits start.
What do I do?
You can pretend to be his fiancé, or you go to prison. Either way, it's very romantic.
Now let's get into a few spoilers. When you're first introduced to Anna, she is set up in this extravagant apartment that is looking over Central Park, and I was very confused because she did not give off the impression in the film's trailer as being someone that was obscenely wealthy, and as it turns out, she is not. She is house-sitting, which is a semi-regular working gig she has going on in her life, and in general, she's struggling financially. This first apartment she is shown house-sitting in belongs to a woman played by Nia Vardalos, which was such a welcome cameo casting because the rom-com girlies, we know Nia Vardalos very well because My Big Fat Greek Wedding is a classic rom-com. And actually, in a way, there is a broadly similar vibe between You, Me, and Tuscany and My Big Fat Greek Wedding because they are both rom-coms that broaden the story's scope to not only be about the central couple. You are also going to get to enjoy an extra large serving of comedy because everyone in these ensembles, primarily from one family, are also contributing enormously to the overall enjoyment you experience from watching the film. Anna went to culinary school, but she didn't finish the final bit of that because her mother got sick and she left in order to take care of her. Anna was very close with her mother, and that was who instilled in Anna this passion for food and cooking. They had planned to take a trip to Italy together, and her mother had already bought Anna a ticket to Italy, but Anna's mother passed away before the two of them were able to make this trip together as they had originally intended. The ticket is still good for her to use though, so Anna can go more or less whenever she decides to. This encounter she has with Matteo is a nice one. They flirt a bit and plan to hook up, but he fell asleep before they could do much of anything. However, he was impressed with her passion for food and very encouraging to her about going ahead and taking this trip to Italy, and she specifically plans to go to Tuscany, which happens to be where he's from. He had a falling out with his family and has not been home in a year, but his villa is still sitting there, sitting entirely unlived in. If you watch the film's trailer, you might have the impression that Anna takes this trip specifically with the intention of going and staying in this villa, but actually, she goes there without having a plan at all, not realizing that there is a summer festival underway and thus the hotels in the area are all booked. That's why she decides to go and stay in his villa. Also, he left the key outside where anyone could have found it, so it's not like she had to smash a window to get inside of that villa. With rom-coms, it's very common to heighten the situations the characters will be in. It's the sort of thing that would be far too much stress to go through in real life, but it definitely makes for great entertainment and comedy in a work of fiction. Each morning that she is staying in the villa, she is woken up by the gardener outside singing a song from La Traviata. Technically, it's a duet, but he's only singing the opening of it, so that's fine. It's Alfredo's part, but anyway, he doesn't need to worry about finishing. But this is a really funny joke for people who either 1, know opera, 2, speak Italian, or 3, both of the above. The song he's singing is a drinking song, and Michael, that's Regé-Jean Page's character, he owns and runs a vineyard. That's where he and Anna are running through the sprinklers when they go off. You will have seen that bit in the film's trailer, where he gets his top off. And there is a fair bit of wine drinking in this film. One of the mornings that Anna wakes up in the villa, she is hungover from all of the wine, and she's woken up once again by the gardener singing Libiamo, Libiamo. And I'm sitting in the audience laughing for a different reason than what most of the other people in there were probably laughing for. I love a joke with layers. I wasn't watching with an Italian audience, so I don't know how many people at my screening knew this reference, but the joke works either way. Anna first gets to the villa by being driven there by a kind taxi driver named Lorenzo. Let me tell you something about Lorenzo. This diva is who I want to show me around Italy. When Anna is getting into a bit of a predicament because she had tried on this engagement ring that she had found in Matteo's villa, and once she was caught, she gets mistakenly believed to be Matteo's fiancé, and she goes along with this story in order to avoid being arrested. Diva Lorenzo is fully here for the mess. He wants the tea, he wants to know the full story, he will give her advice when she asks for it, but he doesn't judge her if she has a misstep or two along the way. He's funny, he's just overall a good time. I think he's the one who says a line that I had written down in my notes that read, "Maybe by living a fake life, you can find truth in your own." He's funny and wise. May we all find a Lorenzo to help lift our spirits when we need him the most. There are so many funny moments with Matteo and Michael's family, too many to name them all, but I did want to call attention to at least one that I really loved. It's when Anna is visiting the family restaurant for the first time. She hasn't been cooking since her mother died because her emotions towards cooking are highly entangled with her emotions and by extension, her grief about her mother. One of Michael and Matteo's relatives, I don't remember if he's their younger brother or another cousin, but he wants to be an influencer, so he is always on his phone, and he's not paying attention to a steak he's in the middle of preparing on the stove. So Anna grabs the pan to make sure that it doesn't burn, and she does one of those fancy flicks of the wrist so that she can flip the steak. And this is when we immediately cut to Giuseppe, Matteo's father, and you can see him immediately recognizing that Anna is a cook. And something about the way the camera is doing a close-up shot of Giuseppe and the look on his face, it just really made me laugh. And not long after this in the film, there's a point where Anna is doing a bunch of cooking because Giuseppe had a health scare and hit his head during that. So, of course, now Anna needs to be the one to make the big dinner for the final night of this summer festival. And Nonna, that's the family grandmother, she has been wary of Anna up until this point in the story, but once she sees Anna cooking all of this food, you can see it on her face that Anna has now won her over. This movie is not playing games when it comes to food. Food is at the heart of everything. Food is a love language. Food brings people together. And if you don't show up when food is involved, that is a red flag. I'm looking at you, Matteo, when you were out with your obnoxiously rude ex-girlfriend instead of going to the big closing night of the summer festival that your family did the multi-course meal for. They've done it for the last 150 years, but you needed to have yourself a roll in the hay with the same annoying girlfriend you were already engaged to once before, but this movie for some reason wants me to root for them enough to put them back together in the end. No, I don't care. She can leave. You don't get to be rude to Anna for no reason other than your pathetic, petty, insecure jealousy, and then ask me to root for you to get back with your ex, Matteo. For anyone who is watching the spoiler section, by the way, without having seen the film yet, the way that Michael is involved or connected to this story and the family, they do say it in the trailer, but I will just reiterate. He and Matteo, that's the owner of the villa that Anna is staying in, they are cousins, but Matteo's parents had also adopted Michael when he was young after his parents died. So they are his parents, but they are also his aunt and uncle. Rege-Jean Page, I cannot emphasize this enough. He is absolutely phenomenal as a romantic lead. The romance girlies, we already knew this, but the fact that he delivers excellence once again, and then the film ends with a blooper reel in the credits of hilarious women doing improv about how attractive of a couple Anna and Michael are, but also the jokes start to break the fourth wall because two of the women keep doing Bridgerton jokes. Yes, it's been 5.5 years since he debuted in the Bridgerton universe, and we have not forgotten how phenomenal he was then and now again in You, Me, and Tuscany. It's not just the superficiality of him being handsome, it's about him being able to perform the emotional sensitivity of this character, the connection he has to his romantic interest. Now, be nice to him this time so he doesn't get scared off of the genre for ages again. I'm not saying he's not allowed to do other genres as an actor, but I'm simply bestowing his well-earned flowers for how phenomenal he is at playing romance as an actor. He's charming, but without being sleazy, and he and Halle play the full range of chemistry and emotional highs and lows of their blossoming relationship. I enjoyed every bit of this love story with them together. I want to also bestow praise on Tuscany because the sheer beauty of seeing this open market of fresh produce and people picking up their chosen items in a wooden basket, not a single bit of plastic to be seen anywhere. Truly, I am living in the wrong place. We are not doing enough to stop the reign of terror the plastic industry has put onto the world. Why are vegetables being sold to me in plastic? Stop that. Any Italians in the audience, if you specifically live in Tuscany, is that what it's really like to buy food there? Because I've honestly had enough. I need to find somewhere else to get produce. I'm saying all of this for a reason. It made the movie more romantic. That's not just me espousing online hyperbole. I don't want to turn this review into something overly long in runtime, but overall, I will simply reiterate that I thoroughly enjoyed myself with this. I will be seeing this again at the cinema so that I can support it at the box office, because I need to see more rom-coms like this. Full of whimsy and chemistry, funny characters, a loving family, and most important, Lorenzo the Diva. I'm going to rate this film with a bowl of gnocchi and an apple spritz. Long live the theatrical rom-com.
Oh my God. You can eat, pray, and love me, baby.